Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Inquisitor-Class cruiser. Now, what you'll be seeing is the Mark III, maybe a little bit of a look at the Mark II and 1 later on. So what is this ship? Well, this ship is it's a warship, it's a cruiser class, designed by a friend of mine originally, my good friend Kestroy, and then Mark II and 3 were refitted by me and Kestroy together to bring it more in line with modern things. This thing's a beast with, as you can see, multiple guns, 16 in total on the top of the ship. You know, it's got 18 on the bottom. As you can see, it's got a very nice sight line. It's got a lot of hydrogen and ion thrusters to make it move, though to be fair, it is a heavy armoured beast, so it doesn't move all that well. There will be a full tech sheet. Painted in the new Zebon Fleet colours, slightly new deeper blue. And, I mean, just look. It's just, I just love this ship. I really do. It's one of my favourite ships. Fully survival ready, fully conveyored up, and fully armed to the teeth with 5 rocket launchers, forward batteries on top of everything else it has. It has 16 guns on top. It has 18 on the bottom. It has my standard UDCs. It has Assembler Refinery, all of this, and then it's a very nice ship. I really like it, and I'm really happy to show it to you. I don't know what else to say, so why don't we get into it? Okay, so we're just going to go on inside, me and Gunny Kestroy here. We're going to go inside the Mark III here, and we're going to give you a look around, show you exactly what it's like to be on board an Inquisitor class. Check that our airlock is shut behind us. Thank you, Gunny. Unfortunately, it didn't depressurize properly, but oops. We're inside. We take our helmets off now. We're all good. So, once you walk inside, as you can see, we came inside the port airlock. We come into the port entrance room. Now, the port entrance room, nice big room actually, considering, but it has 2 turrets to stop unwanted followers walking in your airlock with you, and it has this LCD screen, which has blue, green, red, yellow door color coding, just to let you know as you're walking around the ship, so you know sort of where you are. Blue, as you can see, is command for bridge officers only. Green is weapons for gunnery officers like Kestroy here only. Red is medical, and yellow is engineering. Well, thank you, Gunny. So if we come into this hallway, this direction is towards the rear of the ship, and this direction is towards the bow. We're going to go forwards. To our left and right here are the forward gunnery stations, and we'll have a look inside one of these. Now, both are actually identical but mirrored. Games likes to put me in third person. And you can walk in. You've got 2 stations in each room for 2 gunnery officers to command. Well, this room will command the forward gunnery stations on the left, on the port side of the vessel, and at the front of it. So this is, as you can hear, Gunnery Kestroy is giving us a weapons demo.
Got to test your weapons. Everyone loves a weapon test.
Conversely, this room will obviously control the starboard side weapons. Now, if we walk forward of the gunnery stations, we come to 2 red medical doors. On the port side is the cryo bay, Alpha through Echo cryo bays, giving you storage for 5 people whenever you need them. Obviously, you can rotate your crew, give people sort of a bit of a rest on those long voyages through space. This vent at the front, there is actually an air vent up there, pumping air into this corridor. Every single sort of compartment, every single set of doors, they're ventilated separately. Now, this is the med bay with 2 medical rooms, forward and aft. A readout telling you if they're on, if they're working. And as you can hear, Gunny is just refilling his oxygen and his air, and I'm just quickly doing the same. Yep. No reason not to. Now, if we walk back, we'll walk back through these doors into the rear sort of thing. The whole point of having multiple doors down this corridor is just, you know, compartmentalization. In case a breach in one thing, you've got sort of bulkheads you can shut. These 2 doors are for the entrance rooms we came in through, and these doors are for the rear gunnery stations. Pretty much identical, and again mirrored to the forward stations, but these control the rear guns on the port and starboard side, so we're not really going to need to stop in there. Now if we come forward, we'll come to the command hallway. called so for obvious reasons in just a second, but as you can see, it's a well ventilated room. Comes out to the exterior hull of the ship. Gunny has beat us round, and we have a blue command door. Now, technically speaking, Gunny can't come in here, but he's being escorted by a bridge officer, so he'll be fine. This is the ship's CIC, or Command Information Center. As you can see, multiple readouts giving you all sorts of information on the ship. This computer here is, and this PSU unit is driving, PSU is driving the computer, and we have multiple deck stations for all sorts. This one here, underneath this readout, is the oxygen management station, so that's how you can sort of manage all the air vents, can make sure everything's depressurizing or pressurizing as necessary. This is your cargo management station. These two underneath the air vents are for the universal docking collar controls. You've got, I believe this one should be, yep, fuel management computer. Pretty much they're all laid out sort of underneath their relevant control panels. Just so that if you have a full crew in this room, everyone can be doing something useful. So as you can see, we've got cargo readout telling you all the cargo storage being used and all the full readout of all sort of inventories on board the ship, including turrets, tanks, all that sort of thing. We've got fuel readout telling you how full your tanks are. At the moment they're 100% fuel. It's a very important readout, isn't it, Gunny?
Yep. The ship is she's respectable when getting to speed, but slows down. It takes her a while, and you always want to make sure you've got high for that braking.
Yep. You get about 20 minutes at braking, sort of full burn, and about 10 minutes at full burn forwards. But there will be a full tech sheet put on the workshop link, which will be in the description. Damage readout here. Any part of the ship gets damaged, it'll be shown here. You can work out what it is and go repair it. Navigation readout here above the helm, giving you current position, current speed, and current time. Systems readout, operational guns and ammo summary, including a power summary. As you can see, we're sort of just ticking at around 2-3 megawatts. We're not really doing anything. This station here, we've got a jump drive readout telling you how what the status of both jump drives are, Alpha and Bravo jump drive. And then the air vents showing you how pressurized the entire ship is. You can see it's doing pretty well at the moment. So if we come back from here, we will come back into the cargo hold. For a cruiser of its size, it's got a respectable cargo hold. It's only got 2 large cargo containers, but it holds all it really needs. It also has 6 oxygen tanks and 6 oxygen generators. This room is also where the gravity generator of the ship is held. It's pretty much central to the ship at the moment in terms of its length and its breadth. A little bit shallow in terms of its height, but you know what? It's fine. It manages. We come back from the cargo hold and we'll come into the engineering view room. It's kind of a lobby room. There's a stairwell, but we'll go up there in a minute. So from here, the chief tech could sit on his station, observe his engineers working in the engineering bay, and keep an eye on the full readout of the ship's inventory, as well as sort of gas, as well as ammo, all that sort of thing. He can check it all here. Now this yellow door, proper sort of sliding door, this is entrance to the engineering bay. First thing you're greeted with is this emergency broadcast antenna. The 2 antennae, which you all have seen, are on the exterior. They're for long range and short range, but in case you lose both of those and you just need help, this is set to full range broadcast. And well, you can call for help from anyone, but it might not get you the sort of help you want. Engineering bay has 3 large reactors providing that 900 megawatts you saw earlier, 2 jump drives, Alpha and Bravo, 1 refinery, and 2 assemblers, just, you know, giving you that sustainability on long voyages, as well as gyroscopes on both walls.
Overall, the ship has enough storage and enough access to be pretty self-sustainable up to almost any length of time.
Yep, that's why we gave her the cruiser classification. She was originally on the Mark II, she was a destroyer, but that was before we managed to fit in a refinery and assembler. If we come out of the engineering bay, we will head up this stairwell, and we'll come up to this blue door, command door, and we'll come onto the flying bridge of the ship. Not really useful for combat situations, but a very nice place to be any time else, except for maybe flying through an asteroid field. As you can see, we've got 3 stations: navigation, communications, and helm. It's just everything you need, and you can just trot around, view the stars as you go off on whatever mission you've been sent on. But as we can say, it's a bit of a glass coffin. You don't want to be up here if the guns are flying. That's when you retreat down to the CIC, which, as we can say, has a bit more systems, but also full capability to fly the ship and full protection from the armor.
Yes, this is, you get a pretty view, but probably not where you want to be when the missiles are flying.
All in all, I think that covers pretty much every room on the ship. It's not the biggest interior, it's not the biggest ship, but it is a fully fleshed out interior for a good size of ship, and it does absolutely everything you're going to need it to do.
Fully working in survival, everything is piped up, and as you can hear as we're walking through the ship, the oxygen is working.
Yep, and one thing to actually say, this ship does have, and can't give away fleet secrets, but it does have a emergency power unit that you can find somewhere on the exterior of the ship, so that in the event that, say, the ship is powered down, well, if you know your ship, you can find your EPU, shove a bit of uranium in it, and get back on board. So now you're just going to get a quick look at the Mark II and the Mark I. Okay, and just for a little bit, we're just going to go over the Mark II and the Mark I Inquisitor very quickly, show you where this beast came from. You may spot Gunny Kestroy floating around in each version. So the Mark I, well, I'm going to leave it to you, Gunny, to talk about, because, well, you know this ship better than I.
Well, yeah, this is an example of a ship that was built in the very early days of the game. Way back in 2013, I think this was built. And as such, it's fairly sparse and a bit blocky. But, yeah, it's originally... the concept for the Inquisitor was much the same as you see now, basically a hard, small gunboat with lots of guns. However, yeah, as you can see with the interior, it's very bare because there actually wasn't a hell of a lot to do back in these days. It's a lot more... the game's advanced a lot since then. But it still has the same general design features. It's got one set of smaller engine pods at the front and then one set of large engine pods at the back, with the engineering base pretty much in the same place. Obviously, one of the biggest things that this ship has, which the later variants don't have, is a hangar. The hangar was actually built specifically to fit the small blue ship, 2 of them each. Although even that was a bit of a tight fit. I don't think this ship really was ever big enough to have a hangar. And then up in the front, we've got a nice little viewing area that is not ominous in the slightest.
No, not with its red lighting. Alright, well, cheers Gunny, I've been giving some good views just to show people what you're talking about. One of the things to note is Gunny here had a nice little design inspiration to put pits beneath each of the guns and light them, so that from a little bit of a distance you can tell this thing is armed to the teeth.
Indeed.
Now, what happened, I don't know, God, when did we do this with the Mark II? So, effectively, Gestroy came to me, and we sort of had this idea to refit the ship, bring it a bit more up to date. SE had obviously had a lot to update, and a lot had come into play. So, this was at least 2014 of some description, might have even been 2015, who knows. This ship, as you can see, I effectively took the ship and went, right, here's what we can do with it. Let's add a bridge, let's get rid of the hangar, let's strip out the interior, let's give it a little bit more curves. So, the first thing I'm pretty sure I did was just curve this front bit back. And as you'll notice, as Pony will probably comment, it's got a bit of a Battlestar Galactica feel. And that's no bad thing. But yeah, so we swept this back, I added sort of more thrusters about, changed the layout of the guns. It's actually got less guns, I think, because the original pretty much was slam guns everywhere and absolutely anywhere. And then,
well, yeah, I didn't have to worry about any cargo or conveyor systems at the time.
No. And then I sort of mucked around, give it some protected cowlings on its rear thrusters, gave it new nacelles. Both nacelles were updated, given sort of a new look. And yeah, as you can see, if we fly in the interior, it's very white, but for the most part, pretty much the same as the Mark III. Some things were switched around. We had some sort of cavities that are now the gunny stations. We have all this sort of thing. Green writing on the screens instead of blue. That was changed. 4 cargo containers instead of 2. And a very different engineering bay. You couldn't actually access the engineering bay itself. You could only access these engineering sort of view rooms. Obviously not good if there was a problem. Now the Mark II is the ship that appeared in the planetary teaser trailer that Keen put out. This is one of these ships that showed up at the end of the video as the fleet sort of jumped out. But after that video came out, and oof, damn you Cortana, after that video came out, we decided to update this thing. As you can see, it has all the right stuff, but it didn't have all the right bits. For one, it's a bloody warship with a nice glass observation deck at the front. So we changed it, and that's where you got the Mark III that you've just seen, with hydrogen, with new nacelles, with a more consistent design language, and with more teeth. Yeah, it's come a long way in the 3 odd years this ship has been around.
The newest version obviously needed to be updated with hydrogen, and I think the engine pods on the back did need a bit of an update from the Mark II.
Well, the engine pods on the back were pretty much stolen from the Challenger, so they were a bit ill-fitting. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. It's been a long time coming. I'm really glad to show this off to you. Ship, the Mark III, will be in the workshop. Like if you like, subscribe to see more, share so that more see, and as ever, fair winds and following seas.